Right, well, I've caught the golden orf. I'll admit I would like to have caught a bigger one, but there are so many fish in this lake at the moment that if I hang around, there's no guarantee I'm going to get one of the specimen fish. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to move on and I'll try to catch a golden tench. Now, this is a rare ornamental form of the tench, and you'll find them in proliferation here at Anglers Paradise. One of the best places to target them, curiously enough, is a figment of Zig's imagination, and it's called the Tench Lake, and it's actually shaped like a tench. And with any luck, I'll catch a golden tench there, and if I see a big orf, I'll have a crack at it, because I would like you to see one. Right, now to target this lake, I've actually changed tactics. I'm fishing with a worm on the hook, so I'm actually going to fish on the bottom, using the same float, but just getting the bait hard on the deck, at very, very close range. I mean, literally swinging it out just beyond these lovely lily pads here in the edge. And to try and get the fish to feed, I'm using the ground bait. Now, this is a mixture of Ringer's Mix and some ordinary brown crumb, and I've got red sweet corn in there, yellow sweet corn, bits of luncheon meat, a few pellets, some hemp, a real concoction, a bit like a fruit cake really, and I'm hoping that that'll get these fish nosing around on the bottom. We might be able to come up with one of these famous golden tench. So I'm just feeding underarm right next to the float against the lily pads, and I'm going to try and catch the fish really close in. It's kind of timeless tench fishing, this. Beautiful stuff. Now, this is Zig's dog, Tomek, and as you can see, he's not actually a keen angling student. He's very fond of sushi, aren't you, Tomek? And Zig reckons that when they do netting parties and things, they have to keep him from scrambling around in the mud and eating all the little fish. And I can see that you want to eat this one now, boy, but you're not having it, so I'm going to put it right back there. Look at that, gutted. Well, I'm into another orf now, and there seems to be more of the blue variety in this lake than there is at the golden ones. And Tomek's definitely got eyes for this one, because this one would be a nice dinner, wouldn't it? Hey, but he's a very good boy. Look at that, that's a beautifully coloured fish. That one, it's almost like a sort of koi orf. It's got these lovely yellow golden flecks in it. It's really quite unusual. Lovely fish. Well, sorry about this, Tomek. Actually, Tomek's got quite a lot in common with Mick Brown, because Mick's pretty greedy as well when it comes down to it. Sleeps a lot too.
Well, time's marching on and I still haven't caught a catfish. What am I going to do? Well, I think what I need to do really is give myself the confidence that there's some fish in the swim at all, because I'm not even getting line bites now. A good way of finding out if there's any fish there is just to scatter some trout pellets over where my baits are. And if there's anything around, it'll start getting them grubbing about and hopefully knocking the line, and just give me some indication and some hope that there's something out there.
I'm thinking of taking Tomek on as my new fishing partner, because he's a lot less trouble than Mick Brown. I bet he's better at catching catfish than Mick Brown, aren't you, Tomek? Well, by a curious twist of fate, things aren't really going to plan. What a surprise. So, I'm going to try casting towards the island opposite me using this technique called a method feeder. And basically what we've got here is a heavy feeder on the end of the line. This is a helicopter rig, so that the hook length actually revolves around the line, helicopter style, when you cast it. And basically it's a bolt rig, to be honest. Now, what I'm going to do is, rather than load this feeder up with ground bait, I'm actually going to use damp pellets. So I've got some pellets here, mainly small pellets. I've got a tin of red sweet corn, a tin of yellow sweet corn in there, and I've literally used just the sweet corn juice to dampen them so that they'll stick together. Now, the key with a method feeder is for the ball not to break up. With most styles of feeder fishing, you actually want the ground bait or whatever you're using to actually explode out of the feeder, but with the method, you want it to remain on the bottom in a fairly tight, compact ball, just gradually dissolving. And what happens is this, the The hook bait is on a short hook link and it's lying very close to the feeder. The fish come along, they attack the ball of feed, and hopefully they pick up the loose grain of corn and the red maggot on the hook. Makes a hell of a commotion when you cast it in, and although these aren't exactly purist tactics, I'm starting to get a bit desperate, so I'll do anything to catch these fish. This is a classic tench fishing swim with these lily pads here. If ever there was a time to catch a tench, it is now with the light starting to go, but my word, it's been really hard, and I could do with catching one of these tench. It's driving me up the wall. I've tried float fishing quite close in, I've tried the method feeder, I've stalked around the lakes. And you know, when you're not fishing well, you can sort of cope with it, but I know that I've done things right, and it's really, really frustrating. Well, the light's beginning to fade fast now, and I haven't seen a sign of a golden tench, but I did see one or two nice orf starting to move near the surface, and I've managed to nail one of them, which at least is a bit of a bonus. That's a nice orf, that one. Certainly a much better size than the ones that than I have been catching, and it's been a really funny day actually. It's one of those days, and I'm sure you'll understand this, when everything just hasn't gone right, you know, whether it's the atmospheric pressure or whatever. I don't like to make excuses when I'm fishing, but something's not right today, and the fish have been really difficult to catch. It's very, very frustrating, and when you're in a fishing race like this one, it's the last thing that you need. But that's a beautiful golden orf. It's a nice full-bodied fish, that one. At least it's lighting up a dull evening. But as for the golden tench, well, it looks like I'm going to have to stick another day here and try and catch one. At long last, I think this is the moment that I've been waiting for. I got here at the crack of dawn, and it was very, very early, raining, grey, and I was determined to catch one of these hard-fighting golden tench. And I was just beginning to think actually that my chance had gone, because I've been here about 2.5 hours, just trickling a little bait next to the lily pads there, with absolutely nothing, and then the float's just dipped away, and I've got that lovely solid resistance on the other end. These fish really do hang on. They fight just the same as your traditional green tench. Really get their heads down and beat that powerful tail, and they give you a good old scrap. Oh, it's you're not going to believe this.
It's an orf.
It's an orf. Well, this is the bit where you make a complete plonker of yourself, because having waxed lyrical about the fabulous fight of the golden tench, I've just discovered that I've managed to hook a massive orf in the tail. Whoa, that one's a clonker. And this is one of those koi orf that Zig was talking about yesterday. It's a blue orf, but it's got all these wonderful colours across its back. It's a magnificent fish. And I can't help wishing it was a tench, but at least you've got to see what I was talking about with these huge orf. They are superb looking fish. Well, that fish is well over 4 pounds. It's possibly 5. I might even weigh it in a moment. Terrific looking fish. Fabulous.
Well, here on the Great Catfish Fiasco, anything happens at the moment. Just out towards the middle of the lake, I've seen loads and loads of bubbles coming up, and I think they're probably carp, but in amongst them, I thought I saw a catfish tail turn over, so I'm trying anything now out of desperation. I've put 2 main baits out there, but I'm still keeping a float down in the margin, just for a little cat that might just come patrolling along. So he's back to the old waiting game.
Well, would you believe it? I spent all day yesterday trying to catch big orf, and now I'm trying to catch tench. I can't stop catching them. Another big fish, this. Oh, that's a lovely one. I've now had a double blue orf. Look at that. Beautiful fish. Clonker.
Well, it's looking like a real disaster for me. Matt's picked the best swims and he's left me down here in a right mudder. But I'm going to make the most of it and I'll outdo him yet. That's the theory anyway.
There's some lily pads up here and I've seen fish moving. They may be golden tench, so I'm going to give that area a try.
Well, I've had some advice from the local anglers and they've said in the daytime it's worth fishing a piece of luncheon meat just down the margin. Let's see what happens.
Look at that fish out there. It's a huge fish of bubbles. That must be big fish.
There is always the chance of a little catfish coming round the edge there, so.
This golden tench is turning into a white elephant. Well, it's been a strange old session so far. Yesterday, I struggled to catch the big orf that this place is famous for. I got one right at the death, spraying maggots, a nice golden orf. And then today, I come down fishing for tench, and what do I catch? Yep, loads of orf. I've had some clonkers, you know. I've had fish to over £5, but what can't I catch? A golden tench, and yet this place is absolutely full of them, and I really don't know what's wrong. But I've been thinking about this, you know, and from the point of view of the challenge, I've got to catch tench. The golden tench at the end of the day is only a subspecies, so reluctantly I'm going to let this thing go and move on to the next species before Mick and I have to drive to Leominster, and that's going to be a koi carp. There's a place here that's absolutely full of them, and let's just hope that at least they're playing ball today. Well, there's no finer or simpler way to catch a fish than using what we call free line tactics. And when I say that, what I mean is a rod, a reel, a line, and just a hook, nothing else. Now, this style of fishing has been around since man invented the sport, and it's very, very exciting. The koi lake here at Anglers Paradise is the perfect place to free line right off the surface. I've got with me some superb bait. They're chum mixer dog biscuits, which I've flavoured with one of my favourite carp flavours, a flavour called Scopex. It's a nice, creamy, buttery smell that the fish here can actually detect in the water, and they'll come right up to the surface, hopefully to take these biscuits off the top. It's real heart-stuffing stuff, but we've got to creep around, ease our way into the clearings, try and keep as low and as quiet as possible because these fish are really spooky. Right, now this is the spot over here. I've been baiting it up with a few biscuits and the fish are really up for it. But they're not stupid, these fish. Any unnatural movements or noise and they'll come straight back down to the bottom and we won't see them again. Any noise is bad news here. I sometimes worry when I'm fishing for these fish that they can actually hear your heart beating. So I'm going to nick a couple of biscuits onto the hook, and that'll give me enough casting weight to flick the bait out in among the weeds there. And if I hook a fish, I'm really going to have to lean down hard on it and get it out before it bores down into the weed. Some nice fish out there. Now I've got to flick the bait out. Like that. Okay, now I can see the bait. It's in a nice little clearing. Fish approaching it there. Ah, I missed him. Damn. You've got to be really, really quick. Now that'll spook the fish for a little while. Hopefully if I put a few more biscuits in, I'll come back up again. They're really spooky fish. The way I took these biscuits is to select a reasonably soft one and just nick the hook through, but leave plenty of the point showing, just get the bait to sit. on the bend of the hook like that. If the biscuits mask the hook point, you won't hook the fish. I like to use 2 biscuits in this situation. First of all, it enables me to see my hook bait and distinguish it from the free offerings. Secondly, it deters some of the smaller fish. There's a fish now. Right now, I've got to keep his head up. He'll bore hard for the weeds, and I've got to keep him out of them. It's a decent fish, this one. Come on. I'm playing him really hard, and he'll try and get right into those weeds. It's a nice white fish. Come on. Yes. Whew. I wish they'd all gone as easy as that. That's a beautiful koi carp. Look at the colours. They are amazing. Just pop the hook out. There it is. Beautiful fish. Now there are all sorts of different colours in this lake. Look at this one, it's beautiful. It's white in the main, pearly white. It's got some black scales along its back. And also its gill cover's actually orange. There's little bits of yellow in there and some coral pink. And you'll find koi in all kinds of different colours actually, because they're bred for ornamental ponds. And some of these fish are worth lots of money, literally thousands of pounds. And that's why I'm going to pop this one straight back into the water. Lovely. I'll put him back in the net. Well, Mick will be pleased about this one. I'm not sure how his catfishing exploits are going, but we can tick one off the carp species list, that's for sure. And in style. Go on, my beauty. Great. Tatty old bait, but they're good for a catfish. You know, we need to catch a fish, so...
Yeah, well, I'll put mine in the margins and we've got the lot covered, haven't we?
Yeah.
Right, well, I'm going to get my tackle round and we'll make a start.
All right, let's go. Well, I've joined forces now with Mick to really try and get to grips with this catfish, because that is the one species we're really struggling with. We've got one night here. Actually, we should have been gone earlier today, but we're going to do this night. It's got to be worth a go because it's difficult to see where else we might pick up a catfish. Now, Mick and I are going to use completely different tactics for this. He's going to fish in the margins using catfishy kind of baits, and I'm going to approach these catfishes as though they were carp. I'm using slightly bigger hook baits than normal. I'm using a lot of pellets, a lot of maggots, and I'm hoping that if I put a decent bed of bait out there, I can draw these catfish in. And if I catch the odd big carp while I'm at it, well, that's all right as well. Well, we're just on nightfall, and I've had a take over the bed of maggots and pellets, the far bait, quite a long way out, about 70 yards. I've got a good fish on here. I don't know what it is. I suspect it's a carp, but you can never quite tell. It's just ploughing around out there. It's gone on one long run.
It was a mirror carp, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Well, we do need a mirror carp, Matt, and this is going to make up for some of the time we've lost.
Well, it ain't in the net yet, boy. God, Struth. What is he feeding him on? Steroids? I just wonder whether it's just dug into its peck or something.
Yeah, usually if they fight as much as that, the hook's probably in a an unusual place. You're not getting direct pressure.
Well,
on
that's right, and that's what's worrying me a bit.
Yeah,
now.
you might not be getting the pressure on to turn it.
It's a good fish,
I tell you what,
though,
that is a fat fish, that is. Do you want me to get the net in?
Yeah, I think she's coming now, with any luck.
Yeah,
Well
she's
done,
in.
my
She's
son.
in. I'll tell you what, I always worry about netting somebody's fish when it's a big one.
Well, you did a nice job there, boy. That is one beautiful carp. Look at that. Absolutely mint. It's perfect condition, Nick.
Yeah, all the fishing that I've seen up to
They're
now have
magnificent.
been as good as that, yeah.
Zig's got it taped. This is what we call a mirror carp. It's a member of the king carp family. It's called a mirror carp because of these mirror-like scales. They're like great big plate mirror-type scales, and they're very rare, actually, a big fully scaled.
Yeah, I've not seen many.
Mick, this fish is well over 20 pounds.
Yeah, shall I get the sling scales?
We could weigh it.
Yeah, it's worth weighing,
could
I
weigh
think. Yeah.
22 and a bit, I'd say. Mick, you read her off?
Yeah, and what did I say it was?
You said that?
Yeah.
22 and a half pounds, Mick. Brilliant.
Yeah, nice job, mate.
Spirits are riding high, Brownie.
Yeah. Well, I reckon we'll get this one safely put back,
Yep.
and then we'll get the kettle on.
We're on the way from Angler's Paradise, and we still haven't caught a catfish.
I know, I'm gutted, I am. Absolutely gutted.
We're doing long hours. Any road up. Let's see what Shobden brings. Well, we had a good night last night at Angler's Paradise. We didn't catch that catfish, but I had a cracking carp, and it was a superb night's fishing. Tonight we've got another one. We're here now at Shobden. Beautiful place, and the syndicate manager here is a mate of mine, Phil Green, and he's given us permission to fish here. First of all, for eels, which is what Mick's going to be fishing for, using standard predator tactics, and again, divide and conquer. I'm actually going to go for carp, hoping I'll pick up a common carp. Whatever happens, it's a nice night, and this is one hell of a lake. It's beautiful. Well, it's a fairly windy night, Mick, at the moment. Is this any good for eels? You've done a lot more of it than me.
Yeah, you can never tell. You have to get to know the waters, really, but, you know, I do like a wild, windy night. It always seems to be pretty good. Water temperature's got to be right, of course, but...
Oh, you've certainly got that.
Yeah.
This is a nice-looking swim, isn't it?
Yeah, well, look at all that water I've got to cover. What I'll do, first of all, is just put my baits in close. After an hour, a bit further. Just keep going further and further.
Search it.
Yeah, search the lot.
Can I just say something to you?
Yeah.
If you don't catch an eel tonight, you're not allowed to sleep or eat until you've succeeded.
All right, then. The same applies to you with the carp.
Oh, it's all right for Brownie. I've already done my bit. Had a blinding session yesterday. And he also knows that the carp in here, to catch one that quick is going to be quite difficult. They're not easy fish. But I think the eel thing's realistic. I really do. And I think what we're going to do here is we'll fish up until dark, keep you in tow with us. We'll fish through the night, and if we get anything, we can always sack eels up, because, you know, they'll keep easily in a sack or a keep net overnight. They won't come to any harm. And maybe we'll show you what we caught in the morning if we don't get one before dark. This is my method mix, and this is a stoker of a mix. I've got small pellets, little betaine pellets, and different types of larger pellets in there. There's whole boilies, broken boilies, ordinary yellow corn, red strawberry corn, you name it, it's in here. And I'll tell you what, if I was a carp, I would definitely eat this, definitely. This is the rig I used last night at Angler's Paradise, and I think it's perfect here. And what I'll do is I'll have a boilie on that hair with some paste round it, so it lies right next to the feeder, which will be packed with pellets and sweet corn and things. The other rig, I'm going to rig up to take some sweet corn, and I'll probably use what we call fake corn. It's actually little bits of sweet corn made out of rubber. If you get small nuisance fish that like destroy normal sweet corn just by pecking away at it, they can't destroy the rubber stuff. They keep having to go to try and destroy it, but it just stays there all night. It's also buoyant, so you can, if you're fishing on a silty bottom with this rubber corn, just pop it up above the silt so the fish can actually get at it. Now, for those of you who might doubt that this stuff works, let me tell you that my biggest carp in the UK, which weighed 44 pounds, was caught on 2 grains of this rubber corn with no free offerings round it. Little tip for you here, if you use these dispensers with fluorocarbon lines on them, this is illusion, it comes out a bit curly-whirly off the spool, but if you just rub it across your knee like that and pull, it takes all the kinks out. When you make some turns around the hook, I always make 13. What I like about the fluorocarbon is because it's fairly stiff line, it creates a little angle, almost like a bent hook. And that helps the hook to like flip over and dig into the carp's lip. When the rig sinks, the corn will sit there with a shot on the bottom and the corn hovering just above the bottom. It's a very simple rig to tie up, but you won't find a more effective one for presenting these particle baits. It's really good. Right, there's the finished rig. Fluorocarbon hook length with 2 grains of rubber corn popped up. We've got flexi ring swivel here, helps the hook bait to pivot when carp move and take the bait. Got a 2.5 ounce lead, safety clip, so this is a semi-fixed bolt rig for those of you into your carp fishing, and a lead core leader. And really, although the rig's very simple, you won't find a more effective one than that. Now, carp can be caught at very close range. I'm going to lower a bait almost off the rod tip, right under the branch of that tree. Now obviously I won't be firing rubber corn round that, it would be very expensive. I'm going to use real corn and hemp, and that's what I'm going to lay down in a little carpet using a catapult in that spot there.
I think the eels are really one of the last fish that's got a bit of mystery to it. You just don't know what eels are in the water till you start fishing for them. We do know there are some in here because the local anglers have told us. Now the tactics are very simple. It's not a sophisticated fish. It'll basically take a dead bait or a bunch of worms, something a bit meaty. And on one of my rods I've got a dead rod, something like this one. And on my other rods I've got a nice big bunch of worms like this. Now, the mouth of the eel is fairly large, so I'm using quite a big hook as well, this sort of size. And basically I'm casting them as far as I can to get away from the bankside noise. Now, the reason I'm using 2 different baits is I'm not quite sure what sort of eels we've got in here. Now, eels can actually develop a preference for different types of food. If the lake's predominantly full of shrimps and invertebrates and snails, then it'll probably develop quite a small, delicate head, and it's probably going to take worms in preference to a dead fish. But if there's lots of small fish in the lake, it's going to become quite predatory, and its mouth will become quite developed and quite a strong, broad head. So I'm covering my options really. I'm putting a dead fish out and I'm putting some worms out. And then when I find out what sort of fish we've got in here, then I can change all my rods over to the most suitable bait.
Well, that was an absolute flyer. And I've only been fishing for about an hour, and this one's away on my method feeder rig. It's done the business for me again. I've caught an awful lot of fish on this rig. I'm really pleased. It's really tough catching fish to order, and at the moment I'm doing it. I don't think it's a huge carp, but what I do know about this lake at Shobden, and I've never carp fished it, is that some of the fish are absolutely mint. They're beautiful. No, it's a mirror. Still, it's a carp, and that's what counts. Come on, baby. Oh, well, that's a good result anyway. Didn't actually need one of them, but I'm not going to complain about catching it. It's a little, it's quite a small fish, but it's a pretty little fish. It's another heavily scaled mirror.
Yeah, on the method feeder?
Yeah, on the method feeder again. Look at that. Beautiful little fish. Look at the shape. It's almost like a crucian carp, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's another fully scaled mirror.
Yeah, it's like a miniature of the one you caught the other night, isn't it?
Yeah. There you go. It's a lovely little fish, that.
Look at the fin, it's quite long, isn't it? Quite elongated.
Now you get that fin on all the king carp species, which is basically the mirror carp, the common, and the leather carp, of course.
Yeah. We should get this one straight back.
Oh, well, good morning. It's absolutely pouring with rain. I've had no sleep. I've had so many runs during the night, you wouldn't believe it. It's just been madness. It started at about 11 o'clock and just went on and on and on, and in the end I tried to wind in. Now I've got a slight problem here, in as much that I literally caught a carp about 10 minutes ago, which I've kept in my landing net for you to have a look at. And that means I've got to try and bring this fish in with one already in there, but that's all right, we'll manage. Just as I thought. Now that is a little common carp. It was an absolutely crazy night, really, because Mick started getting eel runs around about 11 o'clock. I started getting carp runs, and there we go. I think I got about an hour and a half sleep, something like that, so probably don't look at my best this morning, folks. It was a good night, though. It was a good night's fishing. Right, there you go. A brace of carp. And these are beautiful, immaculate fish. You'll notice, there you go, 2 grains of rubber corn. What did I tell you? Actually, I did change over to 2 method feeders. That seemed to be the rig that was catching them all, but the rubber corn has been brilliant. Now these carp are what we call king carp, and they're the common carp strain. Although the name suggests obviously that they're common, they're actually not really. They're quite rare, and they're certainly more rare than the mirror carp. You can tell that they're common carp by this continuous row of interlocking scales all the way down there, completely joined together, arranged in neat rows. And they're a fabulous mixture of colours. Along the back, you've got this sort of brassy golden colour. Some of them are almost chestnut brown in places. And then along the belly, the pearly white sort of area. And they really are beautiful fish. And when you see them like this laid together, you'll also notice that they're slightly different shapes. This fish here, if you look at the one below, has got a much broader profile. It's got a small head and it's got a big hump developing just behind its head on its back. And that tells me that that one will probably be a bigger fish than the one above it. So the growth rates will vary, and they can live actually to a tremendous age, these fish, 40, 50, even 60 years sometimes. So they're very long-lived fish, fantastic creatures, and quite fascinating altogether.
Well, if you think Matt looks pretty bad this morning, just take a look at me. Well, after the camera stopped rolling last night, I stuck it out in the wind and the rain and the darkness and tried to catch you an eel, and I did. In fact, I caught 4. It was a brilliant night. I said I'd use 2 different baits. I'd try a dead bait in case they were predatory eels, and I'd try worms in case they were crustacean eaters. Well, that was a good idea, because it turned out that I got all the runs on the worm baits. I never got a run at all on the dead baits. And sure enough, they've got quite small pointed noses that shows that they've been nosing around, tipping over stones, taking shrimps and snails from underneath them. And the heads have developed accordingly. Now, a lot of people think that an eel is not actually a fish. They think it's some sort of a snake or a serpent, but it really is a fish. It's got gills and it's got fins, just like any other fish. This one's puffing out its gills and it's trying to keep them wet so that it can exchange oxygen. Here are the pectoral fins, and of course the main fin is the fin that runs along its back, the whole length of its body, round its tail, and nearly halfway back again on the underside. I just love the whole story of the eel. It's a story of a fantastic journey which starts when the eel is spawned in the Caribbean Sea, and the Gulf Stream takes them all across the Atlantic to the European coast, and they infiltrate our river and lake systems, and they stay there and they grow and they grow, and then eventually they return to spawn again, and that cycle just goes round and round. They tell me, I don't know whether it's true, but back in the 12th century they used to actually use the skins for condoms. These wouldn't be much use for me, obviously, but they'll probably serve, you know, some chap in the village somewhere.
Well, the weather's absolutely lousy, but what a fantastic night's fishing. And things are going from bad to worse on the weather front now. I need a shave. I don't think I've got time to get one because we've got another fish to hit now. It's another member of the carp species. It's called the grass carp, and there's a little lake not too far away that Mick and I are going to go and have to visit. So all of the niceties and changes of clothes and everything are going to have to wait until we've done that part of the journey. We're actually here, somewhere out in the wilds of Shropshire, and I actually live in Shropshire, and even I don't know where we are.
I think we're going to have to go in the water, Matt, so I'm going to put my chesties on.
But this lake's not been fished really, it's a wild lake. I'm tired actually, are you?
Tired?
Well, that's a stupid question to ask you, isn't it?
I am the original sleeping man. God, I'm tired.
It's in my fabulously organised system.
Do you reckon £8 line? That weed's not that bad, is it?
But I think they're mainly grass carp between about 12 and 25 pounds.
There's no catfish, is there?
No. Right, well I'm going to fish for these grass carp on surface baits. Mick's going to fish on the bottom, so it's a divide and conquer approach again. These are dog biscuits and they'll float on the surface. I've flavoured them up with this corn steep liquor liquid, which will make them more appealing to the fish. The smell will get into the water and they'll enjoy the taste of them more. So it's a little bit like feeding your dog really. They can be a little bit picky. We've got to be really quiet here. The grass carp is a species known to be very, very cautious and wary. These fish haven't been fished for, so they're going to be super cautious. So we're going to fight our way down through this bit of undergrowth. It's nice and calm today, which the fish will like. I'm just going to put my stuff down here. I've got a good view. It's been here a long time, this lake. It's basically in a farmer's back garden. Heaven knows when the fish were stocked here. No one knows their history, and I love that stuff. Now, I'm going to fire out a few biscuits. Now, the thing with the grass carp is it's a very peculiar fish. It's not like the other carp species, the king carp strain. It's an altogether different fish in its feeding habits. Grass carp were originally brought into this country to control weed problems in lakes. In their natural environment, they feed on microscopic organisms and on weed, and it was thought that they would never actually take anglers' baits. But we've since discovered that they do. We know that they'll eat trout pellets, sweet corn, and also in some cases carp anglers' boilies. They definitely like surface baits, particularly floating dog biscuits. So that's a real bonus for the angler because they're great fish to catch. But the thing with the grass carp is it's a very delicate feeder. If you see one, it's got almost a short, pointed snout. And when it feeds on the surface, it's not like a king carp, like a common or a mirror, which will come up and slurp a bait down almost like porridge going down an old sink. The grass carp's more crafty. It pushes his way up to the layers, gets to the surface film, delicately takes the biscuit, and then just drags it back down again. So they're very difficult to hook. And one of the problems I'm going to face is sorting out the grass carp from the ordinary common carp that are in the lake. That's going to be the most difficult part, I think. Now I've got a few fish taking here. I need to get a little bit closer just to watch the water and maybe try putting my bait out. If I see an ordinary carp coming for it, I'm going to take it out of the way. When I got here, I was delighted to see some fish taking the biscuits I fired out off the surface. Suddenly got this awkward swirling wind, and the fish just aren't responding now. I really don't like it. This is going to ruin it. Grass carp like it flat calm. The fish have stopped rising.
Well, I'm not so sure I'm going to get this one out. It's gone straight in a really thick bank of blanket weed and it's feeling pretty solid. I saw the fish, cast to it and it took it straight away, and 3 seconds later it was in the weed, so I don't know what I'm going to do now. I want to get it out of the weed, but I still want to be very quiet because there's other fish feeding and I don't want to disturb them and lose the chance of another go if this one comes off.
Just saw you from the other side of the lake.
Yeah. There's nothing I could do. I struck and literally 2 seconds and it was solid.
I saw it dive down.
I didn't give it a chance to run.
Have you got quite a strong line on?
I've got an 8-pound line on.
Yeah, it should pull through.
It's starting. No, I pulled free.
I'll tell you what, we just go from highs to lows, don't we?
I'll tell you what, you don't get many chances at these, do you?
No, they're very difficult to catch. Very wary.
I'll tell you what, I'm absolutely choked about that. I'd seen the fish, I'd been watching it for 10 minutes and it took it as good as anything. Saw the lips come up and engulf the bait.
It's probably a common carp if you saw that.
Yeah, I'm still gutted on that.
It's a kick in the plums, isn't it?
Yeah, difficult conditions as well, and I felt lucky just to get a take, but for that to happen.
Yeah. The fish have been so difficult to get to the surface, and with this rain and swirling wind, it's
I was watching what you was doing, and I thought if I could just free line one to them. So, I hate to say it, but I probably sport the swim now. Do you think?
Possibly, yeah.
Another disaster, mate. Let's get on the road again.
Dropping behind, and I'm tired of it, mate.
Well, I mean, it is a crawler, and I know now why you always wear those dark glasses. I reckon
my eyes are like this.
I'll be needing them soon. Look at mine.
They're like keyholes in the snow. Right, well, here we are. This is Horseshoe Lake in Lechlade, Gloucestershire, and this lake belongs to the Carp Society. It's got 2 or 3 species that we're looking for in the challenge, and we're not only in a race against time at the moment, we're also in a race against the weather because the forecast is absolutely awful. So we want to get set up and fishing as quickly as we can. We've come here primarily with tench in mind, but there's also bream, roach and rudd in this lake. And of course, I think it's most famous for carp. Now this is a big lake and we're fishing quite a comfortable distance actually, about 40 to 50 metres out, and believe me, I've fished a lot further out. And what we're doing is using this device to get the bait out. Now this is called a spod. What it is it's a bait rocket, and you fill it with bait. Centrifugal force holds the bait in during the cast, and when it hits the water, it literally turns upside down and deposits the bait underneath. So by using the float as a target, I can bait right on the float and try and create a patch of bait out there that will not only pull the fish in but also keep them there when they arrive. That's the theory. So very simply, you've got to fill the spod up. Then when the spod's full, just to give it a bit more weight and to stabilise it during flight, I just dip it in the water and then you bring it nicely overhead and fire. and it drops down right next to the float. Now you might be wondering, how can I keep hitting the spot every time? Well, the answer is that I'm using the line clip on my reel to control the distance. So the float is the target, but once I've got a cast on the money, if I clip behind the line clip on the spool, all I've got to worry about is direction. I haven't got to worry about distance, so it's possible with this stuff to be really, really accurate. So what sort of bait are we going to put out? Well, primarily we're after tench and bream. We've already caught some carp, so I'm not too worried about those, although there are some very big carp here in Horseshoe Lake. But we've got a beautiful assortment of baits. We've got maggots, pellets, hemp and maize, loads of tins of sweet corn, and we've even got worms as well. So we've got an absolute banquet for these tench. And I'm going to spend probably the next hour or so spotting bait out, get a big bed of bait out there. We're going to sit on that and we're going to hope that the fish will come in. And if they do, we should get some fireworks. Getting the spot out to the float should be effortless. It shouldn't require a huge marathon effort. And certainly when you're spotting, it helps if you can get into a nice rhythm of casting. You want to be adopting the same stance, casting from the same place. Try and keep everything as smooth as possible. And it's something that you need to practice. I've seen people fishing with these things the first time, and they do find it difficult, and then they give up. But the fact of the matter is, there is no substitute for practice.
Well, I've been a bit crafty here because I've told Matt I'm not very good at spotting, so I've let him get on with it, and he's a lot younger than me anyway, and it's quite a hard job actually, spotting all that bait out. So what about my tactics? Well, obviously I can't ignore that huge patch of bait that Matt's put out there. I'm going to put one of my rods on that, but the other one I'm going to fish in the margin because that's a prime patrol area for tench. At night, I'm going to ledger my baits, but in the daytime, I'll do something a bit different and I'll float fish my baits. And tench can be quite finicky biters at times, and it just might be that we need the float to register those very sensitive bites they can sometimes give.
Blimey, I've only been fishing for about 5 minutes. I've had a take on the maggot feeder. It's not very big, but hey, the way things have been going, anything's a bonus. Oh, now, this looks... Mick, I think this could be a rudd. It is a rudd. It is a rudd.
We need a rudd.
That is one of our target species. Look at that. Absolutely beautiful example of the species. It's got these brassy golden flanks. It looks a little bit like a roach. If anything, it's slightly deeper bodied. It's got blood red fins, dorsal set well back, and of course, the key distinguishing feature of the roach from the rudd is this upward slanting mouth. Well, let's put this one back in, Mick.
Yeah.
Where there's one, I'm sure there are others.
Yeah.
And, well, what a lovely fish, like a little dinner plate, isn't he? Off you go. Now, if you've never fished a huge lake like Horseshoe before, of course, it can be a little bit daunting. This is a gravel pit. It was dug quite a few years ago to provide gravel for the nearby motorway network. And in fact, these waters are very clear in the main, but with prolific weed growth. And one of the things you've got to do if you're going to fish here is first of all find out where the fish are. And then secondly, when you've done that, you've actually got to decide where in the swim you're going to fish. And that is all about finding the clear areas among the weed. So a piece of kit like this one is absolutely vital. Now this is what we call a marker rod setup. We've got here a rod and reel. The rod's 12 foot long. It's got a nice sensitive tip, and it's also got a depth scale on it so that when you're actually plumbing the depth, you can use this scale. I've got a reel loaded with braided line, which is great for providing me with the sensitivity I require. This particular piece of end kit basically performs 3 functions. First of all, when I drag this special lead across the bottom, it helps me to feel where the clear patches are. If I pull it into weed, it jams up, but when it goes across gravel, it bumps across the gravel, the clean areas, and it sends vibrations up the braided line. The second function it performs is to be able to plumb the depth, because by letting off line gradually, the float will rise to the surface. So you can wind it down to the lead and then let it rise up to the top. And to do that, you just pay off a foot of line at a time, counting as you go, 1 foot, 2 feet, 3 feet. And that's why we've got a depth scale on the rod. And finally, having found a clear area, having established the depth, this then becomes a target. We're not casting into the weed, the banquet has been laid, and theoretically at least, the fish should move in on it. That's not a rudd, surely. Oh, it is, you know, maybe, or is it a tench?
Do you think it's a tench, Matt?
It doesn't feel like a tench, Mick. It's not fighting like a tench.
It's sort of hanging there, like a bream.
Yeah,
bream
like
maybe.
a big rudd or a bream or
weed.
It could be a piece of weed by now, but there was definitely a fish there.
Hang on, it's a fish and it's in the weed and it looks like a tench to me.
It does look like a tench to me.
I've got the net ready. Yeah, it's a tench. We've got one.
I can hardly believe it, Mick. It really hardly fought at all. But we've got one.
As long as we've caught one.
Mick, that's a good tench. The great thing about the tench is, look at its tail. You could literally paint the ceiling with it, couldn't you? And it's got very rounded fins. Many people believe this is the most stunning looking of all the coarse fish. This is a female fish. It's got quite small fins, very deep bodied, and they are superbly muscular. You can see by the thickness of the tail how strong they can be. And believe me, a fish like this could put up a hell of a scrap if it hadn't been blindfolded by that weed. But bearing in mind, Mick, the difficulties we've had so far on the race, we'll take the soft ones, boy. We'll take the soft ones. You know, this is where we play catch-up, I think. We're getting a good run of luck here at Horseshoe. And this one feels like it could be another rudd or a roach. It's not especially big. Here it comes, Mick. Oh, it's in a bit of a tangle with the other line, actually, which is a danger when you're using 2 rods, so I'll have to reach down. But let me tell you, this is a big roach. Now, I'm pretty sure that if I did a lateral line count, probably find that there are 45 scales along this fish. If you look at the lips, you'll notice that the top lip slightly overhangs. It's almost level with the bottom lip. And when I first caught these fish, I thought they might be roach-rudd hybrids, but when I did all the lateral line counts and things, I found out, in fact, that they are true roach. There are various counts and examinations you can do on the number of rays in the fin by looking at the lips, the positioning of the fins. One of the keys to look out for with a roach is the fact that the dorsal and the ventral fin is more or less in line. So my money's on this being a roach. Well, no wonder we call this place the Theatre of Dreams, Mick.
Yeah, we're on to some good fishing here, mate.
Oh yeah, not half.
It's giving us a good chance to catch up, this is.
It is. We're on a roll, my son. Fish, Mick. Oh, he's just come off. I've lost him, Mick. Look at that. Missed one there, boy. This is madness, isn't it?
Yeah. Look at that. You'd have to go a long way to catch roach of that quality. Getting knocks on the indicator all the time.
Well, we've got another roach here. I'm now playing another fish in the pouring rain. It's not a huge fish, but they're lovely looking tench.
It's a roach or a rudd, Matt? Actually, it's a nice roach, Matt. Look at that.
Well, it's real feast or famine, isn't it, this old rod race? 1 minute we're struggling to catch fish, and then the next minute we can't stop catching them.
Well, that's another cracker. Let's carry on with the fishing, eh?
This race is gathering momentum now.
Well, they must be coming on the feed again. I've got a nice roach.
And this one's a male tench. A good average size, aren't they? Superb average size. Now, you can tell it's a male tench because the fins here are much bigger than they are on the female fish, and they extend back behind the vent, which is here. Can you also see this pronounced pelvic muscle in this region? That denotes that this is a male fish. So with tench, it's relatively easy to tell the difference between males and females. And this is definitely a Mr. Tench, not a Mrs. Tench.
Well, in this instance, Matt, yours is bigger than mine.
Well, I've heard that said many a time, Brownie.
Yeah. Now, I think the roach were feeding in the swim, but I think the tench might be coming in to muscle them out now.
Yep. It's a bit of a difference, isn't there?
Yeah. OK. I'm putting mine back.
OK, well, I'll slip this one back as well. It's a dreadful afternoon for weather, but at least the fish are feeding.
Well, Matt's getting loads of tench. All I can get is roach and rudd. But slowly I'm working my bait across towards his swim. He doesn't know that. I've got a fish on and it's gone into a great big pile of weed. And knowing my luck, when it gets to the net, it's going to be all weed and no fish. Tell you what, Matt,
Come on, weed ball.
We don't need a landing net, we need a wheelbarrow.
Come on, weed ball.
Oh, I've had a tench at last. It's a miserable old looking so-and-so. Look at his face.
He's sticking his lips out.
I mean, here's us remaining cheerful in the rain, and look at him. Mr. Glum, that is. Oh well. Can only get better now.
Well, if there's one thing I like in the morning, it's a good old Mick Brown impersonation. Have you noticed how much Brownie looks like Uncle Albert off Only Fools and Horses? It's remarkable, striking resemblance. But you know, one of the great things about getting up early is that you get to see so many things that you wouldn't normally see. Now, from a tactical point of view, I think what we're going to do today is concentrate on fishing at range because of the bream. We've had a bit of a chat and we think we're probably going to give this the day, risk it for a bream, and if it doesn't work, we'll move on anyway because there are other venues where we might get bream later, so. Well, this feels like the best tench that we've hooked in the session. It's a good fish, actually. It's been fighting really hard. Basically, this morning was really bright and clear, and so has this afternoon been. It was a waste of time earlier on. We had a couple of early fish, and now we've just started to pick up sport again, and this is a nice tench, this one. And we still haven't seen a sign of a bream yet. We remain optimistic. We're going to give it till dusk, and if we don't catch a bream, we're going to move on from here to another lake in search of another species. But the fishing has just started to kick off again after yesterday's marvellous action in the rain. It went really quiet, and now all of a sudden we're catching quality fish again. And really, when you're catching tench like this beauty here, you just don't want to leave. My heart's telling me not to go, it's telling me to stay and catch more tench, but my head's telling me that in terms of the challenge, we've really only got a couple of hours left. But while we're here, we'll milk it for what it's worth, and if we can't catch a bream, well, a few of these will do instead. Oh, beautiful. Real good fighters, the tench. When they get their heads in the weed, they don't seem to fight at all, but if you can pull them through open water, they don't half pull back. There she goes. Well, that just goes to show that the fish in this lake are used to the sound of the spod hitting the water. A lot of anglers worry about it. I was literally spodding over the top of the rod when this one took off, and Mick's had to crank in the spod for me, so how about that? It's getting pretty hectic here now. It's a beautiful evening. It's going to be a fantastic sunset, and this is terrific fishing, I'll tell you. It's fishing straight out of the top drawer. I like to get them back into the water quite quickly, actually. You might think we're being a bit blasé lifting some of these fish out. We're not. We're using quite strong tackle to get them through the weed, and it's all about just popping them back into the water while they're at the water's edge, I suppose. If we hook a really big tench, then obviously we'll go scurrying for the net, but it's quite a nice swim to just pick fish out here. And you can see them in their natural environment, in among this pondweed. Absolutely beautiful, aren't they? Big humpy backed fish, carrying no spawn whatsoever, way past spawning time, and yet you wouldn't know it. They're at absolute peak condition. And incidentally, one very interesting thing is that every fish caught is being hooked on that plastic corn. And because it's slightly buoyant, I put just a little number 6 shot about 2 or 3 inches from the corn. And the rig itself, it's a fairly short hook link. And this part of the rig's quite interesting. It's basically a block end swim feeder. And then above that, you've got a bead and a swivel that runs between these 2 beads. And what happens is this: when the feeder hits the bottom, this swivel gets pushed up the line, so it comes out of the weed, and it just helps the hook bait fall a little bit more naturally and settle on top of the weed rather than get dragged down into it. And it's very, very effective. Let's just slip this fish back. Back you go, baby. This one's got a bit of power. It's a really angry tench. It's firing around the swim. It's really going for it, Mick. Oh, it's come off. Oh, I don't believe it. Oh, I think that was a good fish, you know.
I didn't want to say anything, but when it jumped out, it was a big tench, very big one. Honestly, it was a very big tencher. Has it just come off?
Yeah, just bumped off.
Honestly, it was. I'm not trying to make you feel bad, but it was a bloody big tench.
Thanks for that, mate.
It's a tiller, really. Well, I'm hoping I've got the big one that Matt lost.
Go on, Albert.
That's your cheek. She's feeling smaller and smaller as it approaches the net, but it's definitely a tench.
There you go, Mick.
Well, I know the average size tench in perfect condition. I know we keep repeating ourselves, but these are marvellous fish. The plastic sweet corn and the barbless hook has come out easily. And there she is. Magnificent tench wearing a weed necklace. It's the practical way to get it off. Absolutely marvellous. Bet that's never been caught before.
Well, it's the end of a fantastic fishing session at Horseshoe. We're absolutely cream crackered, we really are. We've fished our hearts out, but I think we've got the result we wanted. We caught the tench, we caught roach, and we caught rudd as well. We didn't get the bream, unfortunately, but hey, terrific fishing. Right now, we're just finishing loading up the van, which is in a right old state. We're going to drive across to the West Midlands, believe it or not. We're going to Dudley. Now, you might find that a little bit strange, but there is a very nice lake there, and it contains our next target species. So no rest for the wicked. Drive across town and a few hours kip in the van, I suppose, and off we go in the morning.